god-awful, pathetic, sad, vile, contemptible, abhorrent, lame. Welcome to Movie Versus.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Dakota. Today we're reviewing the new Halloween and comparing it to the original 1978 movie of the same title. Spoilers!
Spoilers! Halloween 1978 tells the story of one Halloween night, where a mass killer by the name of Michael Myers systematically traps and murders several teenagers, only to be stopped by Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie.
The 2018 film picks up with Laurie 40 years later. She spent her entire life since that night preparing for Michael's return, and when he escapes his mental facility during a prison transfer, the hunt is on.
Before we jump into talking about Halloween 2018, I think it's really important for us to kind of go over the old one first. Halloween 1978 is one of those movies that doesn't age well. The performances felt a bit weird, it wasn't as tense as I thought it was going to be, and I didn't care for all the voyeurism.
One thing I do like about the original movie, though, is the last 15 minutes do feel really tense, unlike the rest of the movie.
Despite all my gripes with the old film, I loved the new film.
And it couldn't have existed without the old movie. It was great to see that 2018's Halloween was a direct follow-up to the 1978 film. And it was very interesting to see the effects of surviving a horror film experience on Jamie Lee Curtis's character. That's something I've never seen before. You can't have that experience and expect to walk away from it completely unscathed.
It was interesting to see how it affected her and then, through the generations as well. The new Halloween film opens with these podcasters who are trying to learn more about Michael Myers and his motives as a serial killer.
Yeah, they're making Serial 98.
Yes. I thought that this was a really interesting way to start that story. However, the podcasters are quickly killed off and it just feels really unresolved. And we don't get to learn anything about Michael Myers. It just seems like a really wasted subplot.
I think that filmmakers felt an obligation to have a strong opening because the 1978 film has such a strong opening.
Oh, yeah. Dakota and I watched these two films back to back, and we knew it was about Michael Myers, but that opening scene, we were shook.
We had no idea that it was going to be revealed to be a 6-year-old boy, and when it was revealed, it was shocking and wow.
So the podcaster's story, kind of unsatisfying, but again, the main story is Laurie versus Michael Myers. Except this time, family's involved, the deaths are way more gruesome, and there's sprinkles of millennialism throughout the film.
Yay.
And we're led to a bigger, more satisfying showdown.
At the end of the film, where Michael has trapped Laurie's family basically in Laurie's house, which she's built up to be this fortress over her 40 years since the events of the previous movie. When he's hunting them down in the house, it's very tense. It's very scary. It's a lot like the last 15 minutes of the first Halloween. Laurie falls off the roof in a really good callback to the first movie and disappears. And then Michael Myers is the one that's being hunted.
That role reversal was beautiful filmmaking. Finally, we get to see Michael Myers being hunted. We don't know where Laurie is in the shadows. I just thought that was a great subversion of expectations. So the deaths in the new film are way more gruesome, and I love that. Shout out to the special effects and makeup team. All the disfigurations and crushed skulls and ripped open jaws, that looked really awesome. However, I feel like there's too many killings.
In the first movie, there are only 5 murders, only. In the new movie, there's countless murders.
This sounds horrible, but we kind of suffer from a little bit of murder fatigue. The higher the kill count, the less we feel.
One thing that was very strong about Halloween 2018 was the characters and how they were portrayed.
In the 1978 film, I don't even feel like Laurie really has a personality. She's just a smart virgin.
I forgot my chemistry book.
But because of the effects from the 1978 film, Laurie feels like such a more solid character in the new film.
Go home! Get out of here! Get inside!
Yeah, and the effects of her experience wear off clearly on her descendants. Her daughter is traumatized from being raised in such a controlling environment and taught to always fear the world.
If the way I raised your mother means that she hates me, but that she's prepared for the horrors of this world, then I can live with that.
And the granddaughter sort of provides a nice mediation between the gung-ho grandmother and the no, it's fine mother.
It took priority over your family. It cost you your family.
And even the side characters all felt pretty well-rounded in the new movie, especially the granddaughter Allison's friends. It seemed like they were actual friends, especially when compared to the conversations that Laurie was having with her friends in the 1978 film.
Yeah, everything was just about sex.
But I've seen you stuck in plenty of other positions.
My parents are gone.
Oh, that's fabulous.
This time, we get sex and marijuana.
Sidebar, at one point in this movie, the dad literally says, "Oh man, I got peanut butter on my penis." The only character to me in the new movie that stood out as being not the greatest was the doctor.
The doctor's most motivating question throughout the entire film, and what the podcasters were trying to touch on, is why is Michael Myers a serial killer? What is it that he feels when he kills people that keeps the cycle going? Later in the film, when the sheriff runs over Michael Myers and we think Michael's dead, the doctor finally acts on that motivating question and kills the sheriff, assumes the mask, and we think, oh, he's going to be the continuation of Michael Myers.
And that would have been a really interesting story choice.
Yeah, it would have been a really good twist. But then Michael Myers revives from the dead, as he does, and smushes the doctor's head in an awesome way. The whole doctor plot had so much potential, but it was just abandoned, just like the podcasters.
I think part of the reason, though, that most of the characters did feel so good was their performances. No one's gonna win any Oscars, but there were some standout performances. The performances of Jamie Lee Curtis and of the granddaughter were pretty good. And of the kid that her friend was babysitting. He was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, I loved his sass. What happened to him?
I don't know. Did he die? I think he lived.
I think he's the first black character that's ever survived a horror film.
Nice job, kid.
In the original film, all of Laurie's characters feel like they've just discovered the English language for the first time.
My dad! I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
Every word that came out of their mouths was just so unnatural.
The new movie did have a lot of really great callbacks to the original movie.
Especially in the way that people died.
Yeah. There was the guy stabbed up against the wall. There was the ghost sheets.
You have Laurie falling off the roof this time instead of Michael and disappearing.
You have the person dying and landing on the car horn. You have Allison's classroom. It looks exactly like her grandmother's classroom in the first movie.
And then when she looks out the window, she doesn't see Michael Myers, but she sees Jamie Lee Curtis standing out there suspiciously.
There's always a weird sci-fi movie playing on the TV.
We have that great visual of mental patients walking around in the fog.
The soundtrack was the same, but updated.
And the opening credits were also the same, but revamped. I think we were really able to appreciate all these callbacks since we watched the films back to back. And if you haven't watched either, I would highly recommend it.
My biggest problem with Halloween 2018 is that it sets up that you're going to discover why Michael had such an obsession with Laurie. But then you never discover that.
You never learn more about Michael Myers as a character, which is even more disappointing given the fact that the podcasters are trying to find out more and the doctor could be seen as an avenue to get more insight into him.
And I was expecting when there was a confrontation between them at the end that he would talk. They made such a big deal out of the fact that he never uttered a word and that they thought maybe he would say something when he encountered Laurie.
Yeah, baby!
But then that was just abandoned.
Why insinuate that there's an explanation and then just have there be no explanation?
So they can make a sequel.
All in all, if you want to be spooked, I would definitely recommend watching the new Halloween, especially if you enjoyed the old one. And if you didn't enjoy the old one like me, I would highly recommend watching them back to back because it was really fun.
I think this movie was very strong. It was a good horror movie. There were some issues with it, but I think it's a great follow-up, and a follow-up that really couldn't have existed without the original movie. How many pumpkins do you give it?
7.
I'm gonna give it 8.
Also, I'm from Illinois, and neither film looked like it was shot in Illinois.
Well, one was shot in Southern California, and the other one was shot in South Carolina.
I rest my case!
Thank you for watching Movie Versus.
We're gonna do Bohemian Rhapsody next, but we don't know what we're comparing it to yet. Thanks for being spooked!
Happy Halloween.